Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Best Phone Plans Podcast. Joining Dennis and I today, we have Ahmed Khattak, founder and CEO of US Mobile. Ahmed, it is so great to have you back so soon. Welcome to the show, and how are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me, Stetson. I'm glad to be back. Excited to be back so soon, and I'm doing great.
That's great to hear. Well, I feel like when we ended the last episode together, we were talking about, we suggested, US Mobile consider adding taxes and fees. We talked about how the service got started. And I feel like it was like 1 or 2 weeks later, there was this amazing announcement on US Mobile's website, brand new unlimited plans. And not only that, taxes and fees were included. Can you tell me what the story was like going from that previous podcast episode to launching these new plans that has everyone so excited right now?
When we last spoke, it was something that was under consideration, right? If I come on and I say that we will, we ended my last podcast or this interview with me saying something like "hell yeah," which meant that obviously we were working on it, and there were considerations around unit economics, but we just got there faster. We got there faster with our carrier partner, and we accelerated some considerations. And remember, this is not our unlimited plans are not US Mobile's core business.
Right. You started off and were known for the customizable plans, the flexibility.
Which still is a very big part of our business, even after us launching our unlimited plans. We've actually seen that go up.
Oh, really?
As you know, there's more exposure that US Mobile has. So for us, this decision of doing this, obviously, in some ways, is a bit easier than others. Like if all you do is sell unlimited plans, then you're basically, to be at the price point that we were at, you would have to take a massive haircut on your current user base. With US Mobile, that wasn't really the case. This is I've always said, even though if some people don't agree with it, that we are a technology platform, and for unlimited plans was a part of adding incremental business at US Mobile. And we ran models upon models internally, and I felt comfortable, our chief operating officer Michael felt comfortable, our head of data science felt comfortable, and we thought we should go ahead and do that. And in terms of like all-in pricing, I've always mentioned we want to go there, we want to get there. It's interesting that on Reddit, someone mentioned that, well, is US Mobile eating these fees? And like, if you're doing that, we're not able to call the politicians in Illinois out. So like, you should. The point I'm trying to make is So the point I'm trying to make is that, there are certain things that we can't do that in, but there are other things where we can. And so we just accelerated that process. We've got an amazing carrier partner we work with who have, whose goals are aligned with us in terms of growth. And we got to a point that, where, we thought it was economically feasible to do this.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was super excited to see those new plans. I know, with the price drops, you must have been to some degree losing a certain amount of revenue as current customers switch over to those new plans. But hopefully you got many new customers excited to try out the service and the new premium offerings.
So, but in reality, that's not how it works at companies like US Mobile. And I don't want to go too much into it.
Sure.
But that was not unlimited plans was a very small part of our business.
Okay. So would you say like more people are on the customized plans then? Because that's the genesis of how US Mobile started.
Sure. And the ratio is kind of becoming similar just because we're growing really fast at this point. But the point I'm trying to make is that realistically speaking, for US Mobile to have lost a lot of money on this endeavor would have been if basically every customer at US Mobile had 4 lines. Does every
Right,
customer at
right.
US Mobile have 4 lines? The
Nope.
answer is no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, so like mathematically speaking, yes, a little bit of a haircut, but obviously, we're seeing growth because of the new bundles that we launched. But no.
And so, yeah, you ran the model. It sounds like you thought very carefully about this, and it was strategically advantageous for US Mobile to make this decision. So we're super happy to have new plans. I know I signed up. Dennis actually tried out the network too, and had a blast testing that out. So yeah, it's been really great exploring these new unlimited offerings, having US Mobile be a viable option for more people, and to really introduce more customers to that beautiful user interface, online account dashboard, and the brand new usage analytics tool. Which, by the way, props to the team for the new update on the design for the backend on the US Mobile account. I love that. I think it looks super beautiful.
I
Uh,
appreciate it. I would say it's the new base for what our 5-year vision is on where US Mobile is going to be. And we felt like it was better addressed with site navigation. You could do a lot more stuff because you'll see a lot more stuff over there over the
sure.
next couple of months and couple of years.
Sure. Yeah, actually, I'm wondering if you may be able to touch on that a little bit. In the previous episode, you talked about the initial customer for US Mobile was someone maybe traveling from abroad, visiting the United States. They didn't have the credit, they couldn't get the postpaid plans, so you were offering them this seamless, easy way to get a cell phone number, get a plan, be able to call and use their phone as they would. And now I feel like you've been evolving as a platform. Your backend has become seriously more robust. You've built incredible APIs. You're pulling tons and tons of data and presenting it in a beautiful way. Where do you see US Mobile's kind of customer base going forward, or has that changed for you?
It's evolving for sure. One thing I'd like to clarify is that US Mobile wasn't built for tourists or temporary people coming into America. We were very focused on the more long-term population here in America. Whether they were immigrants or not is another story.
Sure.
Obviously, this country attracts hundreds of thousands of like permanent, immigrants into the country, or like temporary visas like H-1B every year, and who either live here for a couple of years or end up spending most of their lives over here. And they're coming from countries who understood that business model a lot better than others. So obviously there was a bigger population of that was joining US Mobile, but US Mobile was definitely built for the population. I mean, that's why we called it US Mobile.
Right, right.
And 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 if you read 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, one of the things that he mentions is that great companies dominate niches before they move into adjacent markets. We dominated that custom sub $15 niche before we started moving more into adjacent markets, as we've been doing. So I would say that the user base is evolving at US Mobile, but also we're just going through a period of this unprecedented period of user experience in America at this point. My mom, who doesn't live in the US, she visited me. She's visiting us right now, and one of the first things she said was, she's like, "Hey, I'm here after 3 years, and oh my God, like so many things have changed from a technological perspective." And so that's what's happening. People expect better user experience. People expect you have a certain expectation of how your app works, and now you want your phone's app to work exactly the same. I'm seeing that rhetoric being repeated so many times. If you look at the feedback that US Mobile gets from a lot of its users, right? The app is very slick, or it's very fast. And can you imagine like someone saying this 10 years back because they were going to choose a wireless carrier? No, but it's really happening. So US Mobile's users are evolving, but they're also evolving because user expectations in general in the world and in the US are also like totally evolving, and we're right there in that decision tree somewhere.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think another kind of feature you've hinted at, and actually had an article go up recently on the US Mobile blog, is how you built and engineered pooled plans. And we had some interesting questions from the audience, kind of wondering more about pooled plans and who they may be for. Are they going to be for families? Are they going to be for companies and corporations? Are they going to be for like an Internet of Things, tech-based company, young startup? I'm wondering if you'd be able to touch on a little bit more about the idea behind pool plans and maybe where you see that going or evolving with this evolving landscape.
So A, all the above.
Okay.
B, if you look at pool plans, right? Before the unlimited revolution started, which started by T-Mobile, right? With the carrier
T-Mobile 1,
2.0.
yeah, like
Yeah.
2014, 2016, something like that.
John Ledger said, this is what I'm going to do. And by the way, I think he's one of the greatest marketers of his generation. And he just so happened to be at a wireless carrier. And, he's a good mix of like controversy plus intelligence and like product. And he did such a great job. I think he could have gone to any of these companies and just taken them to another level. But but prior to that, I mean, what did our plans look like? Exactly. Everyone in America had a pool. It was whoever came up with this. This was the best anti-churn strategy, right? Which was, let's sell people 50 gigs of data. Like that's what AT&T did. That's what Verizon did. We sell you X amount of data, and then you'll all share that data. So like I was on an 8-person plan that I created with my friends, and we had 30 gigs and then 50 gigs, and then you'd see who is using a lot, who's using less, and
Right.
it's kind of microcosm of like what's happening in the country. But with these new unlimited plans, and other carriers followed them, that business just flipped. You had the whole country on that plan, on those plans, till 5 years back, and then just kind of vanished. And if you look at some of the companies that stayed on it, they eventually all had some really great outcomes. Ting was one of those companies. Consumer Cellular did so well with, I mean, look at what Consumer Cellular's business model today is. It's the same thing, right? It's like we let you share data.
Yeah.
And so we obviously realized that there was just a huge gap. And from a user experience perspective, it's sure we worked really hard on our dashboard where like you could create these multiple small plans and you could have a family of 5 do that. But to be incredibly efficient around it, we could never beat what a pool plan experience would be given to you. See, there's a huge demographic that's not an unlimited demographic in America. And US Mobile has done really well capturing that market, whether we have our bundle plans or whether we have our these custom plans. But there was this middle ground in them where why not kind of combine both of them together to create something. But also the dashboard and the pool plans, this is a short-term strategy. It's a market gap that we're filling. And from a business perspective, it's hard to do. From a platform perspective, getting pool plans right is not easy. Like you read the blog post, and there's some really complex scenarios we go after, right? Which is, what if you don't get the CDR from the carrier? There invariably will be a time when something happens on a carrier level, and we will not get the CDR for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Like, what are our mitigation strategies in that scenario? And so many wireless carriers have such low margins that they can't afford to give their user base 10 hours of extra talk, text, or data. And that's what we haven't touched on, like how we mitigate that. Like that's the real kind of artificially intelligent engine that we have. So it's a big technological kind of lift to do it. If you look at some of the cable operators, they use a third-party billing system just to do that. And secondly, it ties into US Mobile's larger strategy. What is US Mobile's larger strategy? When we look at just the amount of investment done in 5G, we just had everyone's talking about it. Like we just had our like the C-band auction finish, and it was, what was it, like $80 billion.
Yeah, 80
So
billion total dollars, absolutely insane.
so if you look at that, like if you look at the fact that they just spent $80 billion for rights, you know, to use those airwaves, like realistically speaking, you have to extract 3x that money out of users.
Right. And then how do you
For
do that
so
without,
so
yeah.
so you go from 80 billion to somehow you have to extract $250 billion to kind of amortize that cost over the course of amortize plus make money on it over the course of next like decade or 5 years. Um, and it's not going to be, we mentioned this, it's not going to be your cell phone. I mean, we already have really fast speeds. Yes, we're all excited about ultra wideband, or midband, but like that vanity is going to wear off really fast, right? Yeah, once you have it, you'll go do a few speed tests. It'll kind of hit you in the face, and then you go back to like doing whatever you do.
Yeah, go
Uh,
back to normal. You'd still watch videos, like everything will be pretty much
or, or,
fine.
or like respond to emails. So,
Speak.
so the biggest strategy is that there will have to be use cases around heavy users, and I think one of the best use cases for all of this bandwidth is home broadband.
Whoa.
People hate their um,
Their ISPs, their service
cable
providers.
like John Ledger used to say this, right? John Ledger used to say that we've done really well because people hate their wireless carriers, but you know what he said then? I remember he one day, I think it was with Jim Cramer. He said that who they hate more than their wireless carriers? Their cable operators.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of when, not if. Like they have to use that bandwidth. Being able to use for use cases like this. So what US Mobile's pool plan does is our 5-10 year vision is that you at some point will be able to buy 2 terabytes of data from US Mobile, and you'd be able to provision everything from your car, your phone, and a home router to
Whoa.
that, and share think about cell phone plans, but on a much more global level. And whether we do it with a carrier partner or we go buy our own carrier, or time will tell. But our vision around this is that you will be able to register, it's your MAC ID or your IMEI for your home router at US Mobile and your other devices, and then basically everything will share that. So sure, your phone might only use 20 gigs of data or 30 gigs of data, but you'll have some device that will use 1 terabyte of data. And then rather than paying us $40 a month, hopefully you'll be paying us $150 a month, because you're using us as a replacement for your cable broadband. And then you're like, wait, if that's what happens, that's where the extra $150 billion come from. Like that's where the value comes from, and a lot more than that. So our pool plans is the platform is many years ahead of like when people are going to be able to use it, but that's what the vision is behind it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have a pooled amount of data. Customers purchase data from US Mobile, whether it's 10 to 20 to 30 gigs today to up to 500, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte gigs in the future. And they have individual SIM cards in their phones that pull from that pooled data. And they may even have at some point a wireless router that is pulling from that cellular data allotment to provide basically home internet, all from one seamless experience from their US Mobile account dashboard.
And we'll give you usage controls. We'll let you do. We're already building that out, but like Stetson's phone should go off at 7 p.m. in the night to like till 7 in the morning. So like native usage controls like that. So, but yes, that's like that one single source of truth for all things connected. That's really what why we have built this, and we feel like the technology is there, right? 5G is just here. In the next 2-3 years, hopefully, it'll be everywhere. So
Ahmed, I want to ask you kind of a tough question that I'm sure you've probably seen all over Reddit, and I'm sure you're seeing it in the comment sections as well. We noticed that with the new unlimited plans, when running speed tests for, like, say, Netflix, like fast.com, that there's a little bit of it looks like it's being throttled down to like 480p at like 2 meg. We were wondering if you knew what was going on behind that. Is that something that's happening because of your partner that you're using? Like, that's coming from like a higher level? Or is there some type of provisioning issue that needs corrected on these new unlimited plans? Are you able to share?
I would say it's a mix of both, not the 480p. Would you agree that you've also seen some people, when they use fast.com, it goes up to 4 or 5 megabytes as well?
Yeah,
you've seen
correct.
that as well,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What would that be? That'd be
720p, which would be what
I think that'd
Verizon-
be 1080p. I'd call that.
No,
Oh yeah, actually you're right, Dennis.
5
Yes.
meg is 720p, which is what Verizon caps their
Pretty much everything
Play More.
at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything at. So yeah, we were just wondering what was
So
going
that's
on
the
with
answer.
that.
That's not, you just answered it yourself, which is our unlimited plans are not capped, but but our current unlimited plans are an iteration of what existed before. So what's happening is that a lot of people, their accounts are being provisioned by that video shaping API or SOC that we are progressively removing. And, it just takes time. Like, I think in next week or 10 days, it would be removed, hopefully, from everyone's account. And then you would get what we get. So, without, obviously naming my carrier partners, if you get that from your carrier partner, that's exactly what you get from us. So there is no, US Mobile doesn't plan to cap the unlimited plans at all. We have proactively removed them from new lines, but we had a significant user base that moved over to these plans, and it's taking time. Like, for example, I think that in a certain scenario, even if you activate US Mobile SIM card today, unlimited plan, in some cases it actually might get enabled, and then we have to disable it. Someone might just activate today or in the next hour or so and says, Ahmed, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm still getting capped. That's more of a technical thing that we are proactively working on removing. But so in a scenario when there is no cap, let's talk about that, right? Because that's going to be removed for everyone very fast. So hypothetically, it's not there for everyone. Will you get 4K? I don't think that's going to happen. I think then you are limited to 720K or 1080p. Whatever. I actually, the other day, I was testing it at home, and I got the option of 1080p and then 2140 or something, and then 4K. 2160 and then 4K, I think, after that. Or is 2160 4K? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not.
2160. So no, 2160 is 1440p, Stetson.
No, you're mistaken. It's 1440p and then
sorry.
Yeah,
I think so. So I was able to stream that on my phone, and I'm not using anything special. But it stuttered a little bit. It happened. I absolutely was able to stream 1080 on my phone. So to answer that is that no, we are not going to do it. Absolutely not 480. If someone is getting 480, they should be reaching out to us, and we should be looking into their account and proactively removing that SOC from their account. We'll get to a point where every unlimited plan user is not going to have it. Custom plans, yes. Bundles, yes. The thing is, it's actually really counterintuitive. We've been talking internally, which is, wait, why would we do it for people who, like, if you paid us $15 or 5 gigs, and if you want to run out of it really fast, by using like
4K video streaming, and rip through it, and
that's your call. What we're doing internally is we want to give that option to you. So we are going to be exposing a setting within the new dashboard where you'd be able to toggle it off and on.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Speaking of which, by the way, about people that buy like a bucket of data, I was just wondering if you guys have been discussing in the background about maybe allowing people that buy, like, say, the 18 gig plan, letting them use the hotspot as well included. So if the person wants to use it for cell phone usage or use it for a hotspot device, they have that flexibility. Has there been any talk about allowing something like that?
That's such a great question, and I'm so glad you asked it because I want to address that. You know, there's certain things where we knew that if we do X, Y, and Z, it would be a great feature for the users, and it would be economically viable for us. There's just certain things where you absolutely are going to get smashed on it, and
By like
hotspot.
by like
Hotspot is
by your partners or
no by the users.
Oh.
And hotspot is one of them. There's a reason why we charge extra for hotspot, and the reason very specifically is that if you are a hotspot user and you use so much hotspot, there are better options out there than US Mobile. I think Visible is a much better option than US Mobile, hands down, if you're going to use hotspot. And I would urge everyone to go and sign up for Visible if that's what you really want to do. That's not the market that we want to play in. We just don't think it's a big enough market. But it was it one of, like, I think it was Stetson who was talking about it. Like, we have looked at it as well. What, 4% of the users use in all of America?
Yeah, it's only 4% of users consume over 50 gigs of data. And this is average users across everyone from younger kids to like grandparents to us, millennials and younger generations.
So we definitely did not create US Mobile for the 4% of America. I'd be very happy to stay in the other 96% of the market.
Oh man, that small sliver of market share you have there.
So that's what it is. It's we just, if you're a aggressive, we think our 10 gig add-on is amazing. It's amazing because we are giving that power and responsibility to you.
Yeah.
You want it? Sure. Add it on a month that you need it. What we are working on is how do we prorate that for less?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll give you less for 5 days of it. So what we are working on is giving it to you for a shorter period of time and for less money. Because that's what, at the end of the day, that's what US Mobile's app lets you do, right? It is so easy to use that it just, in like a few clicks, it would let you provision something. So really, like, that's how our thought process always is. We don't get swayed by, hey, if you guys did this or if you guys did that, so that's why, we don't plan to do it. It has to cost extra. Having said that, Dennis, if I'm not wrong, our customs plan, I'll have to check. I don't know whether it's an add-on or whether the hotspot is included in it. I think it's still an add-on, but you can use up to your allotment.
So to clarify, I just stare at these plans all day, every day. So I think with the true custom plans where you build the plan yourself, my understanding is hotspot is enabled by default. You're paying for the data. You can use it however you want. With the sort of unlimited branded plans where it's the $15 for 5 gigs, the $20 for 12 gigs, those kinds of options, that's where it is $5 to enable that hotspot add-on.
Yes. Yeah. And it used to be more. We made it $5, and it will remain as such. $5 isn't much money. Like $5 is a very small amount.
I think what US Mobile is doing is kind of trying to appeal to this larger demographic, where it is people who are traveling and you realize, oh my God, like the hotel Wi-Fi is super slow. They want to charge me like $10 for one night of slow internet. Let me just pay US Mobile $5 to turn this hotspot on. And that's where I think you're right to have the flexibility for a shorter duration. Like if you're traveling and you need the hotspot, maybe a week vacation or a 2-week vacation, I think that could be really cool. My question, it looks like you have a point, but one question first.
Yeah.
You want to bring in, or you built usage analytics, and it works amazingly well for cellular data. Would it be possible for US Mobile to implement usage analytics for hotspot data as well?
We have that. So our pool plans is built on, one of the biggest reasons why we built it was that was the only way we could do usage metering on hotspot. So now We've built it already. We have that capability. Super excited. I'm so glad you asked that question because I think I would have forgotten to bring that up. We have that now, and we will be able to, and it's a primer for something, and that's why I wanted to. It's a primer something even more exciting, which is very soon you'll see data only plans at US Mobile.
Whoa.
So
is this going to be different? Because right now you can go to a custom plan and you have very reasonable rates, I would say, for data only. You just buy that. You don't need talk and text, and you can throw that in like a tablet. That's typically my recommendation. Or you have a phone that's using Google Voice. Get Google Voice, get US Mobile data only, and you're good to go. Are these going to be different dedicated data only plans?
There'll be different dedicated only data plans in a way that you'll obviously save some money because you're not buying talk and text. Since it's data only, most states in America don't charge you taxes for broadband.
Oh.
So, yeah. So
that's interesting.
Well, taxes were created for landlines, right? And eventually they will come around it. And I'm not looking forward to it. And hopefully I'd be able to fight it as well, as a collective, the public. But so you'll have data only plans that you'd be able to use, and there'll be some of those buckets will be very big.
Are these going to be like shareable as part of the pooled plan system, or are these going to be like you're buying it for single lines right now, and then maybe down the road they'll be different?
Both, right? So on pool plans, your call on what you want to do with it.
Sweet.
But there'll be individual data plans. You'd be able to buy a 50 gig data plan, and
that's awesome.
just use it as a hotspot.
Yeah. So could you use that in like a tablet or like a modem or a router? Who are these going to be for?
I would say everything.
Okay.
So you're thinking about competing in the home internet. You're basically, from the sounds of it, you're thinking about trying to compete kind of like how T-Mobile is right now with the home internet product, right?
I don't think so, because the home internet product is hundreds of gigabytes of data, and it's at this point will we at some point do it? Absolutely. Like, we are internally thinking about rural internet at this point, and there's some conversations we're having, and I think we get to the rural internet part over the next 6-8 months, just because 6 months, and when I say 6 months, like, hopefully it's less than that, but there's like $3 billion worth of funding available for rural internet. Carriers are excited about, like, there is a lot of bandwidth available there. So I would say a step before home internet. Well, now if you want to buy a 50 gigabyte hotspot plan and use it at home, sure, like, no one is stopping you from doing it. But like, how much can you do with it? I don't know the answer to that. But definitely data only plans for tablets, and you can put the SIM card, like, and if there's a compatible device out there, you'll be able to put a SIM card in it.
That's sweet. Hang on one sec. What I'm personally waiting for, Apple M1 chip with the Apple modem, so I can throw it in a laptop and get work done. That's what I'm waiting for.
So when you talk about pool plans, and when you talk about US Mobile's future, that's what I'm talking about. It is going to happen. Every device is going to come with its own modem, and you'll just need to come to our pool plans and add your MacBook's IMEI, and then start sharing that. I mean, listen, this is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's going to happen, and our platform is going to be right there to be used. And that's, by the way, how I think you extract the extra $150 billion worth of, because now immediately you're like, okay, holy moly, like, how much money am I going to pay for my MacBook data plan? Can I afford to pay another $30? I think I can. I might not pay the extra $10, or like not pay extra for that hotspot that someone is, and I'll use that. Like, it is possible. It is going to happen. But sure.
So I gotta ask something that's sort of random, but I'm curious. A lot of times on this channel, when we're talking about different plans, we end up talking about like QCI value, like how it's prioritized as far as like traffic is concerned, speeds with our audience. And one of the things that I was sort of curious about is like when you talk to your network partners and you're talking about like your deals with them and stuff like that, is there like a big difference in cost to get a higher priority? Like just using, for example, I know big cable operators like Xfinity Mobile and Spectrum Mobile, they're able to sell postpaid priority on their cell phone plans, which they're kind of like the unicorn, because as far as I'm aware, a lot of other MVOs don't do this. And I just want to know if it was because it's just not an option available to you guys, or if there's a drastic difference in cost, or what goes into that.
So you're specifically talking about Xfinity offering higher priority on certain plans, right? They don't offer it on the unlimited ones. They offer it on the by the gig plans.
Yes.
Am I right about that?
You can get it on the unlimited, and it's $20 extra per line that you choose to enable it on.
But it comes by default on their by the gig plans. You get the
right, but the by the gig plans are not cheap, right? It's
they're 15,
yeah.
30, and 60, and they don't charge any line access charges, so it's flat rates. And then one person or four people sharing that plan, it's the same cost, relatively speaking.
Right, but the cost of an incremental user sharing a line isn't actually that much. So really what it comes down to is how much are they selling you the data for, right? So like 60, what is it, like 10 gigs for $60?
Correct, yeah.
So like that's $6 a gig, which by all means would be very expensive in today's market. So I think part of the question you answered yourself, that if Xfinity is charging you extra for it, and I don't know what their commercial look like with their carrier partner. They are a public company, and Verizon publicly talks about them as well. So I think maybe perhaps it's there somewhere in their earnings. I don't know. But if they charge you extra, and I'm talking specifically about them, there's clearly some cost differential over there. So I think that's the first. The second answer is, I was thinking about sending like Stetson an email the other day and saying that I think a lot of this rhetoric is actually unwantingly being peddled by like all of you folks as well, right? And like all, which is
it's definitely, you're so right. You're so true. I'm like testing this stuff out. I'm like letting people
but
know.
Also, right, like my main line at US Mobile is on like, QCN9 or what, like the normal priority, right?
Yeah.
Do I have issues with it? No. Yes, sure. 2 years back, I was standing in line to get the new iPhone because it's a thing I do every year.
Yeah.
It's fun. And sure, I had to turn my LTE off, and on this 3G network, I was having a better time because I was being a little deprioritized over there, but I had like Wi-Fi that I could use as well. Over the years, I've had less and less issues. There's certain markets, sure, where we read it, we see it.
Yeah, that's Dennis's
right?
market. Yeah,
that's right. But when you guys like review plans, whether that's US Mobile or other companies out there, I see like how it says deprioritize, right? I that's wrong, because is it deprioritized 99% of the times? The answer is no. Is it deprioritized 10% of the times or 15%? Maybe yes. So should we be calling it, in times of congestion, you will be deprioritized? Because when you say it's deprioritized, and someone who actually, and listen, you're the source of truth for a lot of users, right? I mean, I saw how, and it's obviously gratifying to see that. I remembered you from like when 2015, when I think you were in high school at that time.
Yeah, I was in high school. Yeah.
So, and so you've come from there to like, people actually wait for your reviews now. But the point I'm trying to make is that, like, are you unconsciously pushing them towards a higher postpaid plan because the focus is so much on deprioritize, when like really, how much of the time does it actually matter to you? So that's one. So I think that moniker has to you have to, or my suggestion would be that moniker has to kind of be iterated a little more, right? Which is, it's not all the time, but because I don't have that issue, US Mobile has a lot of users at this point, like more users than what people think we do. And this is just not, I think the amount of users that have issue with US Mobile's deprioritization are all on Twitter, all on Reddit. So those are the total number of users that actually have that issue, and that's not a lot, right?
I don't have a problem. Just to be clear here, I don't have a problem with deprioritization at all. I was just more so curious of the fact that, typically speaking, almost all MVNOs typically, are on this level, and then you got your flanker brands from the providers themselves that typically might have their own tier, and then you have postpaid. And I just found it curious that Xfinity was an exception to that. Rule.
But they charge extra for it. So the answer is that there is a possibility that you would be able to have higher priority for different unit economics, for sure. That is true. But, and this is as of today, maybe things change, our 5G access will be on highest priority.
Oh, that's good. And
I'm talking about, like, when I come out with with the whole suite of 5G, hopefully soon. In no way will some of these other plans, Magenta Max or what, some of them will be. Then it really comes down to how good the network in your area is.
Yeah.
But we do. The whole point of 5G is that no one gets deprioritized. Like, literally, you just paid $80 billion so that no one, to think about it, right? And that's the exciting part.
Speaking of 5G, I don't know if you saw Verizon's conference, but they basically made an announcement that they were going to limit their mid-band and high-band 5G to their more premium postpaid customers on their Play More and Get More. I just wanted to ask, does that affect you guys at all, or any of the MVNOs, when it comes to having access?
That's a great question. I mean, I'll preface with that, I can't comment on what carrier we are on, but we haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
My understanding is we get the
get access to the full suite of 5G tools available to you.
And C-band didn't even exist till
last week, basically.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
It was ultra wideband, and then it was the DSS 5G, right?
So I think it's interesting. My hypothesis to chime in here is that we saw Verizon they're branding their C-band 5G, which is mid-band, and their millimeter wave, which is high band, under this ultra wideband branding, right? And from a consumer standpoint in the landscape, we have seen Visible, Verizon's flanker brand, gain access to the millimeter wave 5G network at capped speeds, 200 megabits per second. So I think it would be possible for all other Verizon carriers to potentially gain access, whether it's at full speed or whether there is some speed limit. So I think.
So I would like to add one thing to what the Stetson you just said right now, and I'm not privy to like now it's public that Visible is a Verizon brand, right?
Yeah, they pretty heavily promote that.
Right. Yeah. I think I saw even Hans talk about it in his post investor call recently. Them limiting it to certain, I think it's an internal decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little weird that the premium subscribers aren't getting it, right? It's like
it might work, right, for them, and so I think it's a business decision for them. But we at this point have no plans of limiting it to.
That's super exciting.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it sounds like US Mobile is gaining access to the all spectrum of 5G available from the partners. And do you have a timeline? We had one question from Evan, a Patreon supporter, asking if there was a potential release date. I mean, customers are really, really exciting about this as they're getting their 5G devices, iPhone 12, the S21s. We have OnePlus 9 coming out. Is there a timeline on the horizon? Is that something you're able to comment on?
Yeah, sure. I'm hoping April, if not April, May.
Okay.
Yeah. So a year later than what we originally thought we'd do it at.
It's true.
But,
It's true.
But I think we did justify not doing that by launching so many other things that I feel like were a lot more important to the users. Think about it, right? Which is, would you have wanted all of these plans that we've launched right now that immediately users can use, or launched 5G 8 months back when like there weren't even any devices for it? I'm actually pretty proud of like how we reprioritize that. And sure, we were criticized for it a little bit here and there, but it just worked out for everyone. So
amazing.
All right, so Ahmed, we're at the 45-minute mark, so we're gonna start hitting you with some Patreon questions that we got from the show. I'm gonna start off with
yeah, maybe should I recap some of the ones we've kind of answered already?
Yeah, why don't you recap the ones we kind of answered, because we already answered Chimes, I think.
Yeah. So Dennis, you kind of skimmed through it towards the bottom. I'll come in with some of the ones we've already talked about. So Chime was asking if it was possible for an MVNO to gain access to that postpaid priority data. And it sounds like what we've learned today is it may be possible. However, it is at a premium price because it's more expensive and literally the same tier as what the MNOs themselves are offering. So it would basically be the same price. If you want postpaid priority, your best option is probably to just go with one of the postpaid carriers.
Yes, I would say that's a
yeah,
yes.
because the prepaid carriers, like the whole value is that you're offering a more affordable service, and the way you're able to do that is with the agreements you're able to negotiate at the lower tier priority. Justin was wondering how US Mobile is able to provide the truly unlimited data to customers. And it sounds like it really came down to unit economics, how much data US Mobile customers are actually using on these unlimited plans, and the cost structure of adding hotspots and other features like that. Would you say that's...
I would add one thing, which is, US Mobile is a truly diversified wireless carrier. In fact, you folks can correct me if I'm wrong, but is there any other carrier in America offering the suite of plans that US Mobile offers? I would say the answer is no, right? Like custom bundles, unlimited.
Yeah, so I would say there's individual carriers offering like slices of what US Mobile is offering.
That's right.
So like some are like the bundles, some are the custom, but none all three.
Not right. I mean, like Mint plays Mint does really good with the bundles, and then you've got Tello as well, and but then like the whole gamut, right? We run the whole gamut, so we're a very diversified carrier from a unit economics perspective as well, and that is what really makes us win. That's why we are able to offer that. I hear people say that you guys are branding yourselves as like the cheapest carrier in America. Well, we have never said that. We actually almost never. You'll never see the word cheap at US Mobile. Do you come to our website and are you hit with the $25 unlimited plan? No. That's like, I mean, the answer is no.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It is true.
So where are we branding ourselves as that? Nowhere, right? What enables us to do that is because we are so diversified in our user base, and now we've created a critical mass of that user base. And to recreate that is hard. I mean, it's taken us 5 years to create an absolute massive, like, kind of user base that's just spread across all spectrum. So unlimited plans are a part of our portfolio. If that was the only thing we had, we would not have been able to offer that. But you really have to look at US Mobile as a total entity. So it's not because we have some very super special deal that it doesn't work like that. Like your unit economics depend on what your commitment to someone is. That's just how things in America work. And we are able to do it because it took us 5 years. Sometimes even our investors didn't understand this. We launched Super LTE in 2017, I would say. At that point, we were growing fast on our GSM LTE network, and we put literally there was like you open up a parachute in the back in terms of our growth, because Super LTE was so different. Like at that time, you had two parallel technologies. You had CDMA, and we had to deal with LTE.
Yeah.
I remember when we were launching our Super LTE network, we were told by industry experts, analysts, partners, everyone that they had never seen a GSM based MVNO successfully execute on
CDMA.
no one. They said it had never happened, and it's the technology was different. There were limited amount of devices. You had to put an IMEI in. I mean, that was so. So if people can't compete with us today, it's because they did not make that decision in 2017. They stayed with Sprint when they had an opportunity to potentially invest in a network partner that was built for the future. But when these decisions are hard to do, if someone comes to you like your door and says your 10-year outlook is way better with this partner, but but by working with this partner, your 2-year outlook actually becomes not that great.
Interesting.
So how 99% of people in this country will always take where I don't care about the 10-year outlook. I might not even be in the space. I care about the 2-year outlook. We cared about the 10-year outlook. So like today, if we are where we are, and it's so surprising to people, it's because of certain decision. And you can go back to my statements. Maybe there's videos out there, but if you look at what I was saying in 2015, 2016, and that's why I wholeheartedly disagree with, I've been getting into interesting conversations with Peter, who's hilarious. He's such a great guy. When you become older, like your sense of humor kind of goes down. Like his sense of humor is like fine wine. Like it's got one of the best sense of humors out there, and I really like him. But I think that part no one understands, which is.
So Ahmed, I got another question for you, and this is actually one I thought that I also am very genuinely curious about. It's asked by Evan, and the question is, when will US Mobile be able to display a real coverage map instead of just a zip code search? Are you guys not allowed to display coverage maps as of now, or what is stopping you from currently implementing that? We are
allowed to do it. We just didn't think it was worth our time to do it, to be honest. We have a list of zip codes. We know what works over there. But what I'll say is how we're giving Stetson a headache all the time because we're launching new plans.
Yeah, you guys got to slow down, please. Actually,
so I mean, aren't the networks evolving as fast over the last couple of years? A site where you had 4G LTE, now you have 5G, and then you have and then there was ultra wideband, and then all of a sudden everyone wakes up to a $80 billion C-band auction that comes out of nowhere. When US Mobile does create its coverage map, it's going to be a hybrid of 3D isometric designs, something that will just blow your socks away. People will use it just because they're think about Google Earth, think about zooming in from the top and then going to. That's what we are going to build, and I'm not going to build anything less than that. And so that's what it is. And secondly, honestly, I just don't think people care. Enough people. I don't think enough people care.
I just wanted to make a quick joke. You're not just going to use MS Paint and just start sprinkling little different colors of magenta.
Guys, coverage here. We want it there as well, also there, but it can't be everywhere. So let's erase that area.
But in all sincerity, Ahmed, I mean, I think a coverage map is something that's relatively important, especially since you have both the Super LTE and GSM network, because it seems like your system loves to just default to Super LTE for most zip codes that you pop in.
Yeah, I was actually, my guess is that there's a select handful of GSM LTE zip codes on the back end, and then anything that's not that, Super LTE, and you just know there's going to be coverage.
But It would be really, in all sincerity, no, seriously, Ahmed, it would actually be really, really good to have a coverage map because, us as the end consumer don't know if you're going to have the exact same coverage as your coverage partners, because your coverage partners oftentimes have roaming agreements that, you might not have domestic access to. I know with Mint Mobile, for example, they don't have all the same coverage as T-Mobile does because
we have domestic. We have enabled domestic roaming on we don't market it, but
Oh shoot, you guys do?
Well, I mean, that's why people keep on saying that. Wait, they have LERAX. I mean, people get that.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Reddit. They're like, whoa, we have coverage where some people don't.
Yeah,
so I didn't know that though. You know,
yeah. It still didn't stop you from joining US Mobile. So, but you're right. It is. It has to be done in just a great way, and we will get to it.
And it didn't stop me because I wanted to say one thing, Ahmed. I signed up because of the promise I made to you on our first podcast. I told you that if you came out with a good unlimited plan, I would give you a try. So
I appreciate it. No, you are. I appreciate that.
We had another question that I thought was really interesting, and it's from Left On For You username. So, what technologies besides Esim are required to support wearables? Because a lot of carriers aren't supporting wearables. In fact, the only wearable options we have right now are from the postpaid carriers. So this question is kind of asking, is it possible for MVNOs to support wearables, and what would that look like?
Sure. With Apple, it's a, there's a carrier bundle.
So similar to a phone, you have to build software for the wearable.
Yeah. So we are going to launch when our eSIM comes in, and this is subject to me reconfirming some stuff internally. So I'll say it right now, but then I can always, but from my understanding, when we launch our eSIM on Super LTE over the next couple of weeks, you will be able to provision a eSIM on your Apple Watch as well.
Oh, whoa.
So that's that. On the other hand, if you look at wearables outside the Apple Watch, really no OEM has really cared about it that much, which kind of sucks, right? I mean, if you look at Samsung, do they? I haven't tried the Galaxy S21. Do they have an eSIM?
Oh, that's a salty spot for me. They say they have eSIM. It's built into the phone. They have not enabled it. They require software to enable it, and they haven't done it.
They have not enabled it here domestically, but they enabled it for the rest of the world, which makes it even
so
worse.
I mean, that's a huge WT,
yeah, especially because
I feel the same way.
They marketed it on their website as a feature too for the S21, and on the S20 as a big selling feature, and then it just no
I mean, that's just total BS. I mean, not a huge fan of that. If someone from Samsung is watching, please fix this. Because your device sales are going to just explode. But the point I'm trying to make is that, do you see how with other wearables, it's just the OEMs are just refusing to launch it, like Motorola, right? They've done such an amazing job in the MVNO space. They've been so successful with the G line and all of that. You know why? Because they were one of the first carriers back in the day, them and Sony at that time, that were carrier agnostic, that started putting in all kinds of bands in their phones, and they were so successful. Why haven't they launched a connected watch?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So it's absolutely mostly OEMs. This is why Apple is the leader in eSIMs in America, especially as it becomes much bigger. It's not us. It's we'll build it, and we'll work with our partners to build it, but there have to be devices. I think there's a huge market for Apple Watch independent plans. I think US Mobile will do amazing at it.
Sweet.
With our
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'll have to, to test all this stuff out. Oh no, I'm going to have to get an iPad to test out the data only plans. That's the only solution there. And I guess I'll have to just upgrade my Apple Watch to get the LTE model.
I have an LTE Apple Watch, and I can't use it.
What?
Because US Mobile doesn't have it.
Oh, you don't support it. Oh my gosh, right. Not yet.
So, and a lot of times this is what happens. We are okay, you know what? We'll build it. I thought of selling it on Swappa, but I'm okay, fine, I'll keep it for now.
So Ahmed, I have a question here from one of our Patreon supporters named Andy. I'm gonna reword this. just a little bit, Andy, just to make it better. But he basically asks, he's basically asking between the Super LTE network and the GSM network, is there ever going to be a point where we see feature parity? Because currently, right now, the GSM network's lacking a lot of the important features that are on the Super LTE side.
I don't think so, because just that we're moving much faster on the Super LTE side. So whereas you might see visual voicemail soon on GSM LTE, it's coming. By that time, we might have built a few more things on the Super LTE side.
Interesting.
It just from a platform perspective, we've just invested so much more upfront on the Super LTE side, and it feels like the gyros are more aligned with our carrier partner on that side. From a technological perspective, they appreciate what we are able to build. So they are great in kind of presenting those opportunities to us, and then we build it really fast.
And then they see like, whoa, this is really cool.
So I we'll give a bare minimum. We'll give whatever we can build on the GSM LTE side, and like visual voicemail honestly is like really the bare minimum. But think about like, when did Mint get it? Like 2 years back? Do you guys know when they got it? Like they didn't always have it, right? Ultra didn't always have it.
They got it. I think it was around iOS 12. I want to say there was a new update to the iPhone. I was would have been like 2018, I think. Fall 2018 is when they got it. And yeah, that's when they could finally configure their APN settings automatically on iPhone.
So
and they got that.
And at that time, like I think Ultra and Mint it was already ranked as like number one on the Inc. magazine's fastest growing companies, right? So like it had literally gone to like 100 million in revenue from a couple of, from a much smaller number. If that's how long it took them at that scale, then, I mean, for us, I think that kind of answers your question.
Yeah. Well, I think, one kind of point to end on, I actually was curious myself. I did a survey. How important was Wi-Fi calling? Because you had mentioned, US Mobile wasn't really a priority. You mentioned not a whole lot of users needed it, which makes sense because you don't offer it. So therefore the users wouldn't need it either. But I was curious, like a lot of people in the audience in the chat, hey, like I really like that feature. So I opened it up, put it on my YouTube channel and on Twitter. And the results were actually really surprising to me. I found only around 25 to 32% of respondents were like, I need this feature. And the other 70 to 75% were like, yeah, you know what? It's not a deal breaker for me. I'd be okay without it.
So surprising to you, not surprising to us, right? Like that's what we talked about in the last podcast, right? Which is, we just have data that shows that not a lot of people need it. And I'm glad that you ran that, because I think it validates us not building it. I think 30%. One thing I have realized over the past month or two, or like over the last couple of months, is that feels like it's more important than what we thought what it was. So we are going to start investing in building it, and I'm hoping by year's end
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to the team at US Mobile who's building that. I know I'd be super excited to have it. It's a feature I do love and enjoy. Hasn't been a deal breaker for me, but seeing the comments, even if it's not a majority of people who want it, some of the people can really benefit it. If they're an edge case, they don't have good reception at home, or whatever the reason is. So
it's crucial for me, which I know, honestly, Ahmed, I feel like you're probably surprised, seeing as I live in the city. But like, honest to God, if I didn't have Wi-Fi calling in my apartment, because I live on like the bottom floor, I'd be pretty much out of luck with all the carriers.
I'm back in August. We were moving houses, so we had this month period where we were crashing at a friend's house here in suburban Connecticut, and they live a mile away from where we live, and they lived in a part of the town where they didn't have where the coverage wasn't great. My house buying decision will be predicated on, or was predicated on, whether I got good cell phone coverage or not, because I could not get because it's like someone is calling you, oh hey, I'll call you back on FaceTime. audio or sound. So I know that if you are ever put in that situation, then no way will you. Your decision will have to depend on Wi-Fi calling. So I agree with that. That like for people that if you need it, there's just like no alternative. Like there's no like priority depriority situation
you just
anymore.
need it.
Yeah.
It works or doesn't. Well, Ahmed, thank you so much for your time this evening. We really, really appreciate talking to you, learning more about what US Mobile has in store. I'm super excited for what's next. I know the team there is working really hard on bringing some incredible features to market, and I couldn't be happier to be a US Mobile customer myself. I want to thank Franco briefly for the super chat. He's a big fan of the US Mobile plan, so shout out to those new plans. Yeah, Ahmed, anything else you want to mention, a shout out or where can people find you online?
Well, so Twitter, I've become a bit more active recently. So I've really been enjoying that. So if you guys want to reach out to me on Twitter, it's basically go to US Mobile's Twitter page and you'll see my handle over there, but it's also Khatku, so KhatTKOO. I'm found there. I'm always lurking on Reddit. I've been having a little hard time responding to people over there, but like, you can always reach me out on Twitter. You can email me.
Yeah. Actually, shout out to the reps on Reddit. I've really noticed US Mobile taking it to a whole new level. They moved subreddits to the US Mobile subreddit, and I think the reps are doing a fantastic job.
I really appreciate whoever owned the US Mobile subreddit. It was some gentleman that was like sitting on it for a long time, and he was just super nice. He worked with Mush to give it back to us. I wish I knew his name. I don't, but whoever you are, thank you so much for giving that to us. I appreciate it. Listen, shout out to all of you folks for just doing such an incredible job with this and the users. And all I'll tell you is that Esim is coming. Some other stuff is coming. Pool plans are coming. We're coming. So be excited. The industry is going through a very super exciting next 5, 6 years, 10 years, and there'll be a lot of cool stuff happening. And hopefully we'll be at the cutting edge of it. And listen, thank you for having me here. It's always great catching up with you folks.
You're always welcome, my friend. You're always welcome, and trust me, we know that you're always going to do right. Me and Stetson both agree. We disagree on some things, but me and Stetson do both agree that what your company is doing is truly epic, and we're so happy that we could be part of the journey with you, in a way.
And before I leave, I have to say I watched Sasha's episode, and amazing. If you want to learn about 5G, it is just, you have to watch Stetson's show with Sasha. I just don't think there's so much content packed around the technical 5G. There's stuff that I learned. So I think that was a really amazing episode, and looks like Peter is going to be up in one of the next episodes. Super excited to watch him, and I think it's going to be it'd be great too. So super excited for your future guests as well.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, guys, we're going to call it end of the show, but stay tuned because we will be doing an after show after this. So pay attention to the channel. Keep your bell notifications turned on so you get notified.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ahmed.
Bye.
Bye.